The following digital animation reconstructs the circumstances surrounding a crime in which an innocent man was convicted. Maurice Davis was wrongly convicted as an accomplice to the 1997 double murder of Charles and Glendora Taylor, committed in Kansas City, Missouri. The facts in this case show that Charles and Glendora's 3 children were inside the Taylor residence when the murders took place. Each of the children told police that 2 men busted through the front door of their home, bound their parents to kitchen chairs with duct tape, and demanded their father's money. About 5 minutes later, Mr. and Mrs. Taylor were shot to death. The killers each left the residence carrying a small box and drove away in Mr. Taylor's car. The trial was delayed by the prosecution for 7 years. When it began in 2004, the prosecution presented 2 federal prisoners that claimed Maurice told them he committed the murders with 2 other men. However, the oldest child at the scene testified she was sure without any doubt that Maurice was not present when her father and stepmother were killed. Maurice was convicted after the prosecution suggested he avoided being detected at the crime scene by waiting in the killer's car. A thorough review of the case file has left us firmly convinced the allegation made by the prosecutor is a complete and absolute falsehood. In arriving at this conclusion, we focused on facts presented at trial to establish the location where the killer's car was parked during the crime. For instance, the children told police at the crime scene that their parents' killers drove away in their father's car. The police found Mr. Taylor's car abandoned beside a vacant lot a short distance away from the crime scene, at the corner of 80th and Michigan. This evidence leads us to believe the killer's car was in close proximity to the vacant lot. During our review of the case file, we discovered investigative reports filed by police indicating that a young man was walking near the scene when the murders took place. The reports indicate that Derek Hopkins told police that he saw an unknown suspicious car backed in the vacant lot at the corner of 80th and Michigan. He described the vehicle as a reddish Beretta and told police that no one was in the vehicle or outside in the neighborhood at that time. After he walked approximately 1 more block, Derek told police he heard gunshots. We have reason to believe that the red Beretta was the killer's car. First, Derek was picked up by police at a house that sits directly across the street from the vacant lot. He knew the area very well, and the fact that he didn't recognize the Beretta as belonging to his neighbor raised suspicion about the vehicle. Second, Mr. Taylor's car was abandoned in close proximity to the Beretta, and the Beretta left the lot before police arrived. Together, this evidence presents a stronger case for the red Beretta being the killer's car than the lack of facts presented by the prosecution at trial. Moreover, the statement Derek Hopkins made to police over 20 years ago, that no one was in the Beretta, is in stark contrast to the allegation made by the prosecution. This evidence ultimately exonerates Maurice. In 6 separate scenes, we will show the circumstances surrounding the crime that shows you that Maurice is innocent. This image represents the neighborhood in Kansas City where the murders took place. The scene focuses on the Taylor residence. Although not exact, the images represent Charles and Glendora Taylor asleep in bed. Their 3 children are also asleep in the front room of the residence. We believe the perpetrators drove past the Taylor residence before committing the crime. They parked their vehicle in the vacant lot at the corner of 80th and Michigan and walked to the crime scene. Here, the 2 gunmen burst through the front door of the Taylor residence. The children are forced into a corner, and then their parents are located. The gunmen duct-taped Mr. and Mrs. Taylor to chairs in the kitchen. While the crime is taking place, Derek Hopkins was walking eastbound on 80th Street. He described the car he had seen in the vacant lot as a reddish Beretta. Derek told police that no one was in the Beretta or outside in the neighborhood. After he walked approximately 1 more block, Derek heard gunshots. Here we see the two gunmen leaving the crime scene. They get in Mr. Taylor's car and drive to the end of the block. The gunmen get out of Mr. Taylor's car and return to the red Beretta, before ultimately fleeing the area. In explaining actual innocence, the Supreme Court has said, reasonable doubt marks the legal boundary between guilt and innocence. And in this case, any sensible person would have reasonable doubt regarding whether Maurice was inside the killer's car, because unlike the theory presented by the prosecutors, we have provided facts showing that A, the killer's car was more likely than not parked in the vacant lot, given that the victim's car was abandoned beside the vacant lot. B, a witness saw a suspicious vehicle in the vacant lot at the time when the crime was being committed. C, the witness said no one was in the suspicious vehicle. And D, the suspicious car left the lot before police arrived minutes after the crime. Furthermore, the Supreme Court has stated that all evidence uncovered after trial should be considered in assessing a claim of innocence. After Maurice was sentenced, the prosecutor admitted that the federal prisoners sought a sentence reduction before trial. The prosecutor said that he declined to help the prisoners, but the prisoners resubmitted their request after Maurice was convicted, and he changed his mind. A reduced sentence was granted after the prosecutor wrote several letters requesting a reward be given. Maurice has maintained his innocence since his arrest. Larissa Minix is an alibi witness that confirmed Maurice was in Omaha, Nebraska when the murders occurred. This testimony was not presented at Maurice's trial for the same reason why Derek Hopkins wasn't at trial: ineffective assistance of counsel. The lawyer representing Maurice didn't subpoena any witnesses. Maurice was represented by the infamous lawyer Roderick E. Smith. 12 months after Maurice was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, Dan Margolis, a reporter for the Kansas City Star, wrote an article titled, "With 50 Complaints, Lawyer Suspended." Smith was disbarred for a long laundry list of misconduct that started before Maurice's case went to trial. Finally, the listener should know that the other two men the federal prisoners accused of being involved in this crime were never tried or convicted. This speaks to the confidence the state had in its witnesses. Maurice has been in prison for 21 years. He cannot afford an attorney. Although we have donated our services, we cannot allocate funds for the cost of further investigation. We ask on behalf of Maurice that a competent attorney donate pro bono legal services that will help free Maurice, or that the listener recommends Maurice's case to a law firm that will accomplish the mission.